And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to the intersection of business and politics right here on Robert Cardoza Live. You know what? We got a great show for you today. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be fantastic. On today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do, Monday through Friday. And on today's special segment, well, we've got Sean LaFave with us. He's going to be with us for a whole hour. Sean and I are going to be solving the world's healthcare problems, and we're going to discuss current events. We're also going to talk some more about what we talked about on Tuesday, and that's dieting and fasting and those kinds of things. We'll see what Sean has to say. You know, he's just a genius. He just knows all these things and how to effectively make them work for you in a proper way. But first off, we're going to have you stand by for news. But before that, I want you to know that at 3:01 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 57 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, here's the 10 things that you need to know for Thursday. We've encapsulated it so we can give you the 10 things that are going to be talked about, and then we'll talk more in depth about them. And this is your daily look at the late-breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that'll be talked about all day today, Thursday, and tomorrow, Friday. First up, Trump accuses Cruz of dirty tricks in Iowa. The real estate mogul charges the Texas senator with fraud and calls for a do-over of the Iowa caucuses. Well, I don't think that's going to happen. But you know what? Cruz does deserve to be called out for dirty tricks. And the case against Bill Cosby will continue. A judge refuses to throw out the sexual assault case against the comic, sweeping aside claims that Cosby had been granted immunity a decade ago. And few Zika samples are being shared by Brazil. The lack of data from the latest outbreak of the virus is frustrating efforts to develop diagnostic tests, drugs, and vaccines, the UN and U.S. health officials tell the Associated Press. Well, what's good for news for drought-stricken California? Strict water conservation orders could be dramatically scaled back or even ended if El Nino storms keep pummeling the state into the spring. Well, we certainly need the water, that's for sure. Let's not cut back too far. How about talks to end Syrian civil war are suspended? The UN envoy in Syria, announces a temporary pause in the fractious peace talks just 2 days after they officially began. Well, you know what? It's hard to get them to kickstart something good, isn't it? Well, why Toyota is killing youth-oriented Xi'an? After years of courting younger buyers with their own brand, Toyota discovered that what they really want is Toyotas. And Obama preaches tolerance during the first visit to the U.S. mosque. Although he has visited mosques overseas, the president waited until the final year in office to make such a visit at home, reflecting the issue's sensitive political implications. And which rare beast has been caught on camera? The only known wild jaguar in the United States is seen roaming a mountain range in southern Arizona in the first publicly released video of the giant cat. And Bob Elliott dies at age 92. The entertainer was half of the enduring television and radio comedy team, Bob and Ray, and the father of actor-comedian Chris Elliott. And then finally, how Super Bowl halftime show has evolved. From modest beginnings, the halftime show has become one of the year's top cultural moments and is commonly seen by more people than the game itself. Go figure, right? Absolutely. Well, let's get into some in-depth news here for you. The Democratic race is shaken, stirred as Sanders and Clinton meet in debate. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders are in a tug-of-war over who's the best standard-bearer for progressive values as they road test lines of argument for the first one-on-one debate of the Democratic campaign. That's going to take place tonight. The race for the Democratic nomination, once seen as a sure thing for Clinton, took on a new vigor this week after Sanders held the former Secretary of State to a whisper-thin margin of victory in Iowa's lead-off caucuses. The tone of their back and forth has become increasingly sharp this week, and the candidates agreed to add 4 more debates to the primary season schedule, including today's face-off in Durham, North Hampshire. And in a tussle over their very political identities, the two candidates are engaged in an ongoing argument over who is more committed to and capable of carrying out liberal agendas on healthcare income inequality, worker rights, and more. Sanders, favored in New Hampshire, first in the nation primary, said today that Clinton's record is just not progressive on any number of issues, including her vote as a senator to authorize the war in Iraq. Well, you know what? I'm guessing we're going to hear a lot of that tonight for those of us that are going to actually tune in and see what's going on. I know that I'm going to tune in. I'm interested. I listen to both. I listen to the Democratic debates and the Republican debates, but I've got to tell you, I like it better when they actually have issues that they can argue instead of arguing with each other. Well, a drug exec takes the fifth on Capitol Hill and angers all the lawmakers. Yeah, you know what? This is something I'll probably talk to our own Sean LaFave about today. Infuriating members of Congress, a smirking Martin Shkreli took the fifth at a Capitol Hill hearing today when asked about his jacking up of drug prices, and then promptly went on Twitter and insulted his questioners as imbeciles. The brash 32-year-old entrepreneur who has been vilified as the new race of pharmaceutical industry greed was summoned by the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, which is investigating soaring prices for critical medicines. 4 times, he intoned, on the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer your question. Well, you know what? Lawmakers erupted. Representative Elijah Cummings of Maryland, the top Democrat on the committee, all but told Shkreli, I should say, to wipe the smile off his face. I call this money, blood money, coming out of the pockets of hardworking Americans, he said as Shkreli sat through the lecture. I know you are smiling, but I am very serious, sir, Cummings said. I truly believe you can become a force of tremendous good. All I ask is that you reflect on it. No, I don't ask. I beg that you reflect on it. You know what? The guy should have that smirk just wiped right off his face. Just how I feel about it. Well, the world pledges $10 billion for Syrians, but peace prospects are really bleak. World leaders pledged more than $10 billion today to help fund schools, shelters, and jobs for refugees from Syria's civil war, money that British Prime Minister David Cameron said will save lives, will give hope, and will give people the chance of a future. But participants in the aid conference in London acknowledged that prospects for ending the conflict have rarely been worse. Peace talks are suspended, fighting is intensifying, Russia and the West are at odds, and millions of Syrians are suffering from bombardment, homelessness, and hunger. The situation in Syria is as close to hell as we are likely to find on this earth, said United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry was no more upbeat. After almost 5 years of fighting, it's pretty incredible that as we come here in London in 2016, the situation on the ground is actually worse, he said. Well, when we come back, I'm going to give you some more news. Hopefully, we're going to talk about Assange, and he finds a surprising ally, but it may not be enough. And I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. Well, Assange finds surprising ally, but it may not be enough. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has found a surprising ally, a little-known United Nations panel that has decided he has been unfairly detained in Britain while seeking to avoid extradition to Sweden to answer allegations of sexual misconduct. But it's not clear if the findings of the five members of the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention, to be officially announced in Geneva on tomorrow, actually, will lead to the change in Assange's legal status. The sun-starved computer hacker has, has holed up inside the Ecuadorian embassy in London for more than 3 years, and as things stand now, he still faces arrest if he steps outside. Swedish officials said today the UN panel report concludes Assange has been a victim of an arbitrary detention, apparently because he has been unable to leave the embassy without fear of being immediately taken into custody by British police armed with a European arrest warrant. British and Swedish officials have indicated they will not be swayed by the UN panel's report, which is not binding and has no legal authority. You know what? The guy needs to be held responsible for what he's done. Well, this is straight in from a prosecutor. A girl texted with the college man before stabbing. Two Virginia Tech students carefully planned the kidnapping and killing of a 13-year-old girl, arranging a pre-dawn rendezvous online after buying cleaning supplies and a shovel at separate Walmart stores, a prosecutor alleged today. Montgomery County Commonwealth's attorney Mary Pettit described how authorities believe David Eisenhower and Natalie Keepers applauded the stabbing death of Nicole Lavelle, a seventh grader who used social media to escape from bullying after surviving a liver transplant and other health scares. Pettit revealed just enough information to persuade a judge to deny Keepers bail, leaving key aspects of the crime a mystery. She did not suggest a possible motive nor describe the killing itself. But, the prosecutor said, messages on the girl's phone led to the suspects and accused the college freshman of deciding together in a fast food restaurant that Eisenhower would cut her throat. Wow. Can you imagine? I can't. I just can't. It sickens me. Well, here's something else sickens me. Cosby case could hinge on two issues: a deposition and accusers. With one crucial legal battle out of the way, at least two more loom in the sexual assault case against Bill Cosby, whether prosecutors can use his explosive testimony from a decade-old lawsuit, and whether other Cosby accusers can testify. On Wednesday, a judge moved the case a step closer to trial when he rejected claims that the 78-year-old comedian had a binding promise from the previous district attorney in 2005 that he would never be charged in the matter. The next stage is a preliminary hearing on March the 8th. The TV star is accused of drugging and violating former Temple University Athletic Department employee Andrea Constand at his suburban Philadelphia home in 2004 and could get 10 years in prison if convicted. While some 50 women have accused Cosby of sex crimes, this is the only case in which he is actually charged. An epic fight is all but certain over whether to admit into evidence the deposition that was unsealed over the summer and contributed to his arrest in the 12-year-old case. Well, you know what? I mean, I don't like what he did. When the smoke is fire, you got to believe that something bad really did happen. But, I mean, a lot of years have gone by, and now they're just trying to, I guess, get him on a technicality. He's 78 years old, and he's not healthy. I wonder how many millions of dollars we're going to spend, and will he even get out of trial before he actually dies? Who knows? You know. Well, a tortured Italian student died a slow death, Egypt official says. The body of an Italian graduate student who disappeared last month has been found with multiple stab wounds, cigarette burns, and other signs of torture, and a slow death on a roadside on the outskirts of Cairo, an Egyptian prosecutor said just today. Giuliano Regeni, a 28-year-old Cambridge University PhD candidate who had been researching labor rights in Egypt, went missing on January the 25th, the 5th anniversary of the popular uprising that toppled longtime autocrat Hosni Mubarak. His body was found on Wednesday. News of the slaying and evidence of the torture spurred diplomatic tensions. An Italian government delegation cut short a visit to Cairo, and Italy summoned the Egyptian ambassador in Rome, calling for a full investigation with participation by Italian experts. You know, that's exactly what should happen if you think about it. Well, finally, the FBI hands off a strategy in Oregon and follows lessons learned. Federal officials have allowed the armed occupation of an Oregon wildlife refuge to drag on for more than a month as part of the strategy learned from past standoffs in Texas and Idaho that ended in bloodshed and spurned more government mistrust, officials say. Critics say the waited-out strategy sends a mixed message and can embolden others to lead takeovers. The decision to monitor from a distance the Oregon occupiers' opposing federal land policy has not changed since January the 2nd, but U.S. officials are stepping up the pressure outside the refuge and in the courtroom. Authorities arrested leader Aman Bundy and others on a remote road when they left Mullimore National Wildlife Refuge for a community meeting. The confrontation on January 26th also led to the shooting death of an occupier who the FBI says was reaching for a gun. Well, having said that, that's the news for today. We'll probably talk more about it when we get with Sean LaFave. In any event, don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to talk about the IRS loses. The first case, banks need not turn over a company's funds. And I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses. website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39. A complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. And we got a great case for you today, or cases I should say. Banks need not turn over a company's funds is the first one. The IRS said that a company marketed illegal tax shelters and sent it a large bill for taxes and penalties. This automatically created a lien against the company's property in favor of the IRS. The IRS then ordered several banks holding the company's funds to turn over the funds to it. The banks protested. They went to court. This is what the judge said. A lien gives a creditor, like the IRS, an interest in the property to secure a claim. But here, the IRS had taken none of the legal steps necessary to go further and take control of the property, either by seizure or by establishing a receivership for the company's assets. There was no legal foreclosure or final judgment, so the banks do not have to remit the funds. The IRS doesn't get to make their own rules. It's sort of like, changing the rules at the halftime of a game, right? How about this? IRS loses. A judge cannot be overruled without cause. The IRS said that an executive took $3 million of untaxed kickbacks. He said that the money went to a corporation that properly paid tax on it. The IRS replied that the corporation was a sham. The case was very complex, so the tax court sent it to a special trial judge to develop facts and an opinion. The judge held for the executive on the basis of witnesses' testimony and facts that he found. But the tax court then dismissed the importance of the witnesses, read the facts differently, and ruled for the IRS anyhow. This is what the Court of Appeals said. The tax court must defer to a special trial judge absent clear error by the latter. There was none. So the latter's opinion governs, and the case stays the way it should. Let me give you one more case. The IRS loses. Did not meet the burden of proving unreported income. Now, here's the case. A lawyer reported receiving $138,783 of income over 2 years on which he owed back taxes. The IRS examined his bank records, found $273,409 of deposits, said $237,541 of them were income, and increased his tax bill. So he went to court. This is what the judge said. The IRS has the burden of proving unreported income, but here it didn't show how it decided which deposits were and were not taxable, or how it had reduced taxable deposits by previously reported income. And it ignored actual facts of which it was aware that affect the essential accuracy of each of these accounts, or those accounts of alleged total unreported income. So it hadn't met its burden, and the increase of income is dismissed. You know what? That's just the way it's supposed to be, right? The IRS isn't supposed to be able to get away with that kind of stuff. There we go. Now, you've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff. Well, that's where we're at right now with this segment that we call Inside the IRS. Now, this is not tax court cases, but this is a precedent that was set down by the IRS that you can use to your advantage if you know what they are. So, this is a little bit like the Twilight Zone, right? Oh yeah, I love leading into this thing, but let me give you these two situations. The first one, the IRS absolutely can access your credit report and can find out about financial transactions that you might not otherwise want to share with it. Suppose, for example, that your credit report reflects that you borrowed money to purchase an expensive car or boat, and suppose the IRS finds this out. Its next step could easily be to contact your bank and obtain a copy of your credit report or your credit application. If it does that, you have a problem. If the credit application reflects assets or sources of income that you are trying to hide from the IRS, it just found them. And what if you overstated your assets on the credit application? While this is not a tax crime, it is a crime under federal law. You're in trouble both ways. You got to be careful about this stuff. And how about this? What happens to people who are sentenced to jail for a tax crime? You ever wonder about it? Well, in most cases, they are what they call designated. That's the Bureau of Prisons lingo, meaning where an individual will be sent, to a camp, usually. Now, a camp is a federal prison facility, but there are no gun towers, barbed wire, or jail cells. The other inmates in the camp are likely to be white-collar criminals and low-level drug dealers. It's a dormitory-style setting with a relatively small risk of physical assault. Of course, the experience is boring and the time drags on because you are incarcerated. You might just want to, I can't remember her name, the gal that went to jail for insider trading, Martha Stewart, yeah. That was the kind of place that she went. Also the kind of place that Wesley Snipes wound up going to. Now, do not go away, because we're coming up after this break is our good buddy Sean Lefebvre. Now, when we left him on Tuesday, we were talking about diets, and we were talking about cleansing through fasting, and we were talking about all those things. And he's going to expand on that today, and I can't hardly wait. You don't want to miss this. This guy is one of the most interesting people I've ever had the privilege to know and listen to. So don't go away. We'll be right back with our own Sean Lefebvre in his Geared for Wellness Corner.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean Lefebvre, in his Geared for Wellness Corner. Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:33 p.m. Pacific time. It is currently 67 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, if you're listening to us in New York City, it's 50 degrees and overcast. And if you're listening to us in Chicago, it's 31 degrees and partly cloudy. But you know what? There is no cloud over the head of my good buddy Sean Lefebvre. He's waiting in the wings, and it's sunshine to no sunshine left for anybody else because he's got it all. Hey, Sean, welcome aboard.
Hey, Robert, how you doing today?
I'm doing terrific. You know, I was looking forward today because, you know, when you and I were talking on Tuesday and you got into fasting, and I never really had anybody explain to me what it really does and how it helps, and then after you're done fasting, how important diet is. And I also didn't know that breakfast was break fast because you had slept 8 hours at night, and so you were actually fasting. I didn't know any of that stuff. I just found it fascinating.
Well, it actually is fascinating because even the first time I really started researching it, you know, I had a lot of ooh and ah moments, you know, that I found this to be exciting stuff. And so, you know, the more I research it, the more I go, you know, why isn't this more popular in the United States? You know, because it's certainly, of course, it's, you know, probably, I'm sure there's a lot of good reasons why it's not popular, and none of them are actually really good reasons. They're just reasons.
Because United States citizens like to overindulge, right?
And I do like to overindulge, and I mean, you know, frankly, I know that you and I always tend to go back to this. You know, there's no money in fasting. No. You know, so you're never going to see a commercial that tells you to fast. And in fact, I saw something the other day that said, "Don't eat anything that has a commercial." You know, so
You know what? I've never seen that, but I would actually subscribe to that. I think it's true. You know, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, because we didn't really get into it, when a person fasts, does it actually detoxify the body as well?
Yeah. It's the fasting process itself doesn't detoxify the body. What it does is it stops you from adding more toxins in from whatever you're eating. Now, if you're already eating, even people who eat, organic, healthy stuff, that's good for them to fast. But obviously, they're not going to be adding as much toxins and stressors to the body as someone who's eating, processed foods. And of course, we always want to make fun of places like McDonald's, but even places like, Chili's and TGI Fridays, or even a lot of your really even nicer restaurants, they still use some fairly inexpensive products that aren't so good for your health. And of course, anything that comes out of a box, anything that's made to have a shelf life more than, a couple of weeks is going to be hard on the body. And so,
well, let me ask you this: would there be a difference? But because you mentioned McDonald's and Chili's and places like that. What about these places that make things from scratch, healthy food don't have a lot of preservatives? I'm guessing that you're going to say, well, that's a lot better for people.
Well, absolutely, it's a lot better for people. And there are still places that make food from scratch, but maybe they use canola oil, which I'm not a fan of canola oil, or maybe they use some sort of a cooking oil that has a hydrogenated oil in it, so it can handle higher temperatures. And of course, then you got trans fats. So you can still make things from scratch that aren't necessarily the best for you, but typically, if you go to a place that has a kitchen, they've got someone there like the place my son works, like he chops up vegetables, and he does prep every day, and they get things ready to go for the day. So certainly that's going to be a lot healthier for you than going to, places that everything they get is already prepackaged for them. All they do is, thaw it out, assemble it. Maybe some things get cooked, maybe some things get microwaved. I learned that about, I think it was Burger King, is all their hamburgers come to them cooked. And all they do is they just throw it in the microwave and heat it up and then stick it on the hamburger.
Right? I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure it was Burger King. I'm 99% certain. But,
it's interesting. When my wife and I, years ago, we used to go to Mexico quite often. We just loved going down there. The prices were good. The food was good. Everything was terrific. And we found this little out-of-the-way place that, you'd have to know it was there. It's called Chewy's. And just a little 2-by-nothing thing by the beach. And you'd go in there, and they had a menu, and they had this little sign. There was this lady that, under normal circumstances, you'd never let cook you anything, but because of where we're at, it worked out. And there was this sign that says, "Hey, this ain't Burger King. You can order it your way, but you're going to eat it our way."
That's right. You can't have it your way. I love that. That's great.
Let me ask you a question, because you mentioned canola. Yeah. You mentioned canola oil. And is there a difference between canola oil and corn oil? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, no, it's not at all. Canola oil is made from a seed called the rape seed, and it's just something that really it's got a lot of what they call them phytotoxins. It's just not good for the body. The body doesn't process it very well, so it's hard on your digestive system. It's hard on your your overall general system. It doesn't help promote healthy cell development and those kind of things. And so no, canola oil is really not a healthy. Is it better than corn oil? I have no idea.
So
neither one of them are good, but corn oil obviously comes from corn.
Yeah. Is there a major difference between corn oil and vegetable oil?
I don't think there's a major difference, Don. I think a lot of vegetable oil is based in corn oil, but no, there's no real difference in those two. They're still, because of the way they're processed, they're just not healthy for you. You want something that literally can be cold pressed. Things like coconut oil, olive oil, grapeseed. They can get the oil from the grape seeds. Anything that comes from a nut or a seed.
So peanut oil.
Yeah, peanut oil. Something that you would normally eat, like a rapeseed. You wouldn't normally eat rapeseed. They're toxic to the body. Yeah. But you would eat, you would eat peanuts, or you would eat almond. There is almond oil. There's actually avocado oil, which is really good, and it's pricey, but it takes a higher heat than olive oil does, and than a lot of oils do, and so it's really good for cooking, but it is pricey. But anything that you would naturally eat that you can get oil from, especially cold pressing it, then you're typically fine. Corn oil, like, when was the last time you ever pressed corn and oils? When was the last time you ever saw oil come from, or any type of fat at all come from corn?
The only thing I've ever pressed corn with is my teeth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it didn't taste fatty or oily at all. So I honestly don't know. One of these days I may get really, really bored and research exactly how it is that they get the oil from the corn. But so far, all I know is it's not good for you, and so I don't really care to know the process.
So let me ask you this, because I know a lot of people. I actually don't. It's actually it's become a little costly. I know a lot of people that reuse oil, and I don't. They might filter out some of the residual frying stuff, but they reuse their oil. I generally don't. Do you think that it hurts to reuse oil, or do you think that it doesn't make any difference?
Yeah, I think as long as you haven't burnt the oil, then you're fine. Oil is okay until it gets to a certain temperature, or it gets cooked so much that it actually gets overheated, and then what it'll do is it'll actually turn into a trans fat.
Just a little rancid, right?
It gets, yeah, exactly. And so at that point, you're doing more damage. So reusing oil is not a bad deal, but you just want to make sure that I wouldn't reuse it too many times. I can remember, and I actually still do this myself from time to time, but I remember as a kid, anytime we cooked bacon, my dad had this can, and I've never been able to find one. It had a can that on the top, you pull the lid off, but at the top was like a little inverted kind of lid that had a bunch of little tiny holes in it. You would pour the bacon grease into there, and of course it would filter out all the chunks, and then once it all drifted, then you would clean that little screen filter part out, and so you would save the bacon grease, and you could use that to cook your eggs or whatever else you want to. Cooking in bacon grease is awesome.
I got to tell you, anything cooked with bacon or bacon grease is awesome. I've got a lot of recipes that I do. I'll actually throw a pound of bacon into the frying pan just for the oil, not for the bacon. I'll wind up using that bacon too. I mean, I'm not going to throw that out, but there's never any bacon left over at the house. But basically, I'm looking for the oil, But I've given up trying to save oil, like duck fat and bacon oil and that kind of stuff. It's just it's not worth trying to save all that stuff.
Duck fat is another one that's actually a really good, healthy source of fat to cook with. If you can get the duck fat, that's actually a very, very healthy source of fat for frying things. Like if you want to, even cooking eggs or whatever you would normally fry in grease. Awesome. Why
is that? Because I mean, fat is fat, right?
Well, not all fat is the same. It's even fat from, like, let's say, we talk about this before, on your steaks. It depends on what the cow has been fed. If the cow's been fed grass, then the fat on that steak is actually a really healthy fat that's good for you. If the cow has been fed corn that's been sprayed with pesticides, well, all of that, first, it's going to have too much omega-6s, which is going to make it pro-inflammatory, not enough omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory. Plus, all of those toxins from the pesticides and anything else that the animal's ingesting is going to be stored in the fat. And just like it does in humans, that cow stores it in the fat. And so now you're eating this cow, this steak with this cow fat on it that is actually unhealthy, and that's what promotes heart disease. It's not that the fat from eating a steak is bad for you. It's what we fed the cow before it went to slaughter. So if you can get a cow that's free range, gets to wander around and go eat grass all day long and not be given antibiotics or steroids or any of that stuff, then even the fat from that is good, healthy fat. So ducks, typically ducks have not been, I guess, I don't know what word I want to use, overused, the way chickens have. And chicken fat is another good fat. I love getting an organic chicken, and oh my gosh, the chicken fat, the skin is my favorite. I love the dark meat because it's higher in fat. It's got the skin on there, of course, just like the breast does, but it's all the way wrapped around, and I love that.
I think you're a lot like me. I mean, I like pork skin, I like chicken skin, I like duck skin. I like the skin. But listen, we have to go on a commercial break. When we come back, what I'd like to do is to find out how often a person should fast and for how long they should fast. Is there something that's recommended for that? And if you fasted for whatever time you're going to say, does a person have to be cautious or careful about what they eat after the fast? So we're going to talk about that when we come back from this commercial message, Sean. I'm looking forward to those answers. So don't go away. We'll be right back with our own Sean LaFave in the Good for Wellness Corner. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:49 p.m. Pacific time.
Still 67 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. I want to tell you, this is God's country. It doesn't get any better than that. But you know what? If you're one of our listeners in Paris, France, it's currently 50 degrees and overcast. And if you're in Rome, Italy, it's 41 degrees and clear. You know what? No matter where you are, you don't want to miss what my good friend Sean LaFave is going to say. We're talking about fasting and diet and stuff like that. You know, Sean, I thought what I would do is see if I can't keep this in some kind of a perspective. First of all, let me just kind of ask you questions, and then and I'll lead you in the direction that I hope makes sense for us. First of all,
should everyone be on some kind of a fasting routine, and what is that routine?
I would say fasting is good for everybody, yes. And certainly anyone who's not in optimal health should fast. Yeah, and if you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to overcome any type of health conditions. I know that right now we talked about this briefly on Tuesday that dementia, Alzheimer's can be prevented with fasting. Fasting also helps with cancer, prevention and cure. And so there's a lot of health benefits to it beyond just weight loss. Most people think fasting, weight loss, or they think maybe you're fasting for a religious reason, but there's really a lot of health benefits for it. But I would say everybody can benefit from fasting for sure, absolutely. And there's different regimens that you could follow. You could kind of really tweak it and make it your own, do it however you want. But the real basic kind of way of doing it is you can, one of the easier ways to do it is maybe eat every day for only 8 to 10 hours or something like that. So you get up in the morning, maybe delay breakfast, for a while. Don't eat until after 8 o'clock, and then you're done eating by 6 p.m. Or whatever your schedule allows. And then you just don't eat again at all. You can drink water, you just don't have anything with calories in it for the rest of that time.
So for 10 or 14 or for 12 or 14 hours, you're not eating, and so that is then, is it making your body actually burn fat that's on you, or is it just making it burn the calories you've already consumed in the previous 8 hours? What's actually happening?
Yeah, so what's happening, and then regardless of what style of fasting you use, and what we're talking specifically here is intermittent fasting. So I should be specific. We're talking about intermittent fasting. There's fasting where you could go on a fast for a week or 10 days, or I think it's healthy to even fast up to 40 days. There comes a point where you do have to have nutrition, you do have to have food, but you can certainly fast for. There have been people who've been like adrift on the ocean, and all they had was water for weeks on end, and they survived, even in the sun. But what I'm talking about is intermittent fasting, not this long, drawn-out fasting that may be done for, various other reasons, including health, but maybe spiritual reasons or whatever the case might be. But intermittent fasting is just where it's really, almost every day you're eating. And so what you're doing is your body has glycogen stores. Your body stores the liver stores sugar. If it doesn't have a use, if you eat sugar and your body doesn't have a use, specifically fructose. If you eat sucrose, regular sugar, your body will burn it using insulin. But fructose, your body converts into triglycerides if it doesn't have a use for it. Fructose is not burned up by insulin, so it doesn't affect insulin, but it does affect your liver and it does affect your triglyceride levels. So what fasting does is it depletes your glycogen stores that your body has stored up. So your glycogen is basically a way of saying that it's stored sugar, and if the body needs it, it goes in and it taps into it and it uses it. The body loves sugar because it's a super intense. It burns fast. Picture the difference between kerosene and gasoline. Sugar would be more like gasoline. Fat would be more like kerosene. It's a nice slow burning. So if your body needs a quick energy, it goes for the glycogen stores. Well, eventually your glycogen stores, if you do intermittent fasting, are going to be depleted. If you're eating all day long, especially if you're eating a carbohydrate-based diet, you're never going to deplete those glycogen stores, and so your body really isn't going to have a lot of incentive to burn fat for energy. It's going to store fat more so. And so what you do is you just deprive your body of those carbohydrates by intermittent fasting, and now your body burns up the glycogen available to it. Once it depletes those glycogen stores, it has no other choice but to eventually convert itself into a fat burner, and that's where leptin also comes in. And fasting also helps with the utilization of leptin as well.
So let me interrupt you for just a second, because you're talking about you're burning up all that energy and all the fats and all those things. So after you have fasted for, let's just say, this 14 hours, when you finally do eat, or when you wake up after that 14-hour period, whatever it might be, do you feel re-energized at all, or or do you feel weak? What's going on?
No, you should never feel weak or tired because of fasting. There are people that maybe initially, because your body's not used to it, maybe you don't have the ability to utilize leptin so your body can burn fat and those kind of things. So initially fasting might be kind of unpleasant. You might get those lulls where you're tired, where you're irritable, where you're hungry, or maybe, whatever the case might be. But once you've gotten in the mode of intermittent fasting on a regular basis, then you should literally be able to go, you should be able to go an entire day without eating. You might experience some hunger pangs, but for the most part, you can survive without eating for a full day and not go crazy. The people who say I can't even go until lunch without eating are the people who don't have the ability to burn fat for energy, and that's the people who are what we call sugar burners. And you really want to get away from being a sugar burner, because those are the people that have the highs and lows. The body. In fact, if you do, go ahead.
So let me ask you this, because I remember you mentioning one time, and I don't remember exactly when this was, that if you don't maintain a regular healthy diet, that your body starts to store anything you do eat. It turns it into fat for future use, and if it doesn't have any of that available, it starts eating itself for energy.
Right. Yeah. So what happens is these are people who don't have the ability to utilize leptin, is what you're talking about. And so leptin is the hormone that tells the body to burn fat for energy, just like insulin, is used for burning sugar. Leptin is used for burning fat. And so when the body needs to burn fat for energy, it releases the hormone leptin. Well, the problem with some people is they've become so toxic, they've become so chronically inflamed at the cell level. They're dealing with inflammation at the cell level on a chronic basis. And then what happens is they get what's called an overactive cytokine response. These cytokines, which normally are good, they go in, they repair cells, break them down, build new cells. Well, these cytokines now are constantly attacking these cells, trying to reconstruct things because of inflammation, and it actually leads to more inflammation. And what that does eventually is you end up burning out the leptin receptors on the hypothalamus. And so now the body produces leptin, but the body can't hear leptin in the hypothalamus, so you don't burn fat. And so now these people are going to store fat because they can't burn it. And in the short run, what will happen is if they don't get carbohydrates, their body will cannibalize itself. It will go in and take your muscles, break them down. The body can take protein and convert it into sugar, and so it'll take the muscles that you have in your body, break them down, and convert it into sugar for energy. It's the same thing that happens to like the Auschwitz.
Sean,
yeah.
Take a deep breath, because we're a minute past our commercial time.
Oh my goodness! Already?
Yeah, and I hate to interrupt you, but I wait for you to take a breath, and you just never do. I don't know how you do all this with one breath. In any event, we're going to come back. We're going to talk more about diet. We're going to talk more about nutrition with our own Sean Lefebvre and his Deared for Wellness Corner right after these brief messages. So please, don't go away. You don't want to miss any of this.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to our own Sean LaFave in his Geared for Wellness Corner. But first, I want you to know that at 4:02 p.m. Pacific Time, it is currently 67 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. And if you're one of our listeners in London, England, well, I'm going to tell you, it's 52 degrees and overcast. And if you're in Vienna, Austria, listening to us, well, it's 39 degrees and light rain. You know what? I wouldn't mind being in any of these places, Sean, as long as I could still listen to you. I just love your intellect. You are unbelievable. Matter of fact, you know what is really interesting about you? You are the only man I know that can talk for a half an hour and not take a breath.
I'll try to take at least one breath during this segment. So, no promises, though.
Well, you know what? Now we're in our second block, and in our second block, the segments are a little bit longer. We actually go. We got about 16 minutes before we actually go to a commercial on this one. But both of them take you by a half hour. It's just when the commercials actually play. Anyway, we were talking about fasting in a person, I'm guessing, needs to be cautious to make sure that they're not abusing their body, but I guess it doesn't hurt. You don't want to overeat, is what I'm trying to say. So if you're fasting and then all of a sudden you get up and you say, I'm starving to death, and then you gorge yourself, that's not good either, right?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to, like you said, abuse food on the time when you are eating. You know, it's you end up like sumo wrestlers. I never actually been to a sumo wrestling camp, so I can't confirm this, but what I've read and what I understand, sumo wrestlers actually do a form of intermittent fasting. However, what they do is they eat one really huge meal just before bedtime, supposedly, and what that does is something about. I mean, it's like thousands of calories kind of thing, and they eat this massive meal, and I guess the way they do it actually helps them to gain a lot of weight, but. That's neither here nor there. I just thought it was interesting when I read about it. But yeah, when you are eating, you do definitely still want to be responsible. You know, don't stuff yourself. Don't eat garbage. Just because you're fasting doesn't mean you can go out and eat fast food or whatever, anything processed or a ton of sugar, or you can't sit down and eat an apple pie for dinner or whatever the case might be. So you definitely need to be responsible about it. But,
it would be interesting to know how many sumo wrestlers die a natural death as opposed to heart attacks.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I mean, your heart can only beat so many times for so long, and push so much blood. And when a person weighs 400 or 500 pounds, it just, I can't imagine that they live to be 80 or 90 years old. It doesn't seem logical. That's just a lot of weight for the heart to really have to support.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to take you off on that tangent. It was just interesting because you had brought that analogy up. But I am wondering about the normal person. I guess the right amount of a meal is about something that would fill the size of your fist. Is that pretty close?
I don't know that I would ever put a right size to any meal because everybody's different. Mm-hmm. There's some people who are very active. You may be a runner, you may be someone who works construction for a living, and you're physically active all day long, as opposed to somebody who works a desk job and maybe really doesn't go to the gym very often. And you can still eat healthy even though you're not out constantly active and moving and exercising, and so your caloric needs are going to be a little different. Let me
give you an example. I can easily eat a nice 1.5 inch, 1 1/4 inch ribeye steak with all the trimmings and the whole 9 yards, right? No problem at all. But I can also cook that one steak and cut it up and share it with my wife, and I'm still satisfied. I'm not happy that I didn't get the whole steak, but I am satisfied. And so it seems to me that if that's the case, then maybe my body is saying, hey, you don't need to have that quantity. What you really want to do is have some quality.
Right, and I think that's a problem with most people in this country is we do something very different here than they do in most parts of the world, even in Europe, which is still very Western. They take their time when they eat, and they eat smaller portions. And so when you eat slower and you eat smaller portions, your body finally gets a chance to process what's in your stomach. And by the time you finish your meal, even though it's smaller, now your body chemistry is saying, okay, I've got the nutrition I need, I've got the calories I need, I really don't need to eat anymore, so you don't feel hungry anymore. But
you don't feel bloated either, right?
And you don't feel bloated. But when you sit down with this giant meal that you order, like a lot of these restaurants, you go out to eat them. The meals are just massive. It's so easy to share a meal nowadays. They're so big, and it's easy to do that at home as well. But if you eat quickly, you're going to eat a lot more because the sensation of hunger takes a while to be repressed. Mm-hmm. And so if you're eating quickly, you're going to eat a lot more food, and by the time you're no longer hungry, you're going, oh my gosh, I feel stuffed. I don't know why I ate so much.
That's interesting. That's interesting, and I believe that it's true. When I was growing up, and you know this because we talked about it, I was raised on a dairy, and I can remember we'd sit down for a meal, and my dad say, "Hurry up, we got work to do," and you'd just shovel that food in, and out the door you'd go, right? But you're right. I was raised eating quickly. Then it got to where I ate quickly because I wanted it to be hot. I didn't want it to be cold when I ate it. And so you get into this routine. But I believe you're absolutely right that if you eat slower, you fill up much faster. And I have a feeling that you probably enjoy the meal a lot more too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You enjoy the meal for two reasons. One, you actually get to taste what you're eating, and you get to relax while you're eating. But typically, when I talk about other countries, other parts of the world, they also don't usually eat alone. They have someone to share company with, so they may take a bite, say a few sentences. They talk about this, they ask a question, and while the other person's responding, and they take a couple bites, and it goes back and forth, and so there's a social aspect to eating as well. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I can't remember. I remember mentioning this on your show, but I can't remember who it was I was talking to, and I was asking him. I can't remember what the conversation was even about, but what I remember him specifically saying was we were talking about another person, and he said, "Oh yeah, I know him. He's a friend of mine. We eat together," and he was not an American, by the way. He's not an American born. He may have been, become a citizen of the United States since he moved here. But he was, and I think he was, I believe, from either the Persian or Middle Eastern or Lebanese or something along those lines. I can't remember who it was, but I just remember the comment struck me because in his mind, I'm a friend with this guy, and what that equates to is he's somebody who I would share a meal with, and I think that's very common in other parts of the world. Or here in the United States, we'll stop at a drive-through and get the food and eat it while we're driving to our next business meeting, or just pop in real quick, maybe sit at the bar and have dinner and a drink after work because we don't want to deal with the traffic or whatever. And people tend to eat alone in our country much more than they do in other countries, and so there's that aspect of it as well. And I think that's a very important aspect of the dining experience, is that really that connection, that social interaction.
Yeah, you know what? I've been out to eat many times, and sometimes sharing that meal with different people, whether they be strangers or friends or the love of my life. And the truth is that the meal is so much more enjoyable and more lengthy when you're with someone whose company you're enjoying and you're having a decent conversation back and forth. The food then becomes an accent and a prop, right, as opposed to the only reason you're there.
Right. It becomes a secondary thing. So your focus isn't my meal. And I know people that they'll eat, and before the meal's even over, they're trying to figure out, well, we're going to go get the next meal. And it's like, oh my gosh. So, let's not worry about that for a couple hours.
I hate to admit this to you, but sometimes I'll be having breakfast with my lovely wife, and I'll say, okay, so what do you want for dinner? You know,
well, that's legitimate. If you have to go shopping to, if you go, hey, what do you want for dinner? Because I need to go to the grocery store and pick up stuff. That's legitimate.
Yeah,
but and that's fine.
Yeah, good, because I do that all the time. Mainly because I want to prepare something, and I want it to be something that is really going to be nice, and I want to find out what she's craving, if she's craving anything,
Exactly, and you love to cook and you love to please your wife, and so don't wait until an hour before dinner time to ask that question, because then whatever she wants might not be possible by dinner time. So,
and it sounds odd though that you'd be having breakfast or having lunch and be talking about, okay, what's for dinner, right? But the truth is during the week, we if we eat dinner, it's usually very small. It's just a snack or something. We don't really have big dinners unless it's the weekends, and that's when we have a dinner, because our lives are a little busy, and we're all doing things, and so I'll generally have some breakfast, and I might have just a snack or something, at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. I'm just I'm not really all that hungry, but come the weekend, I'm looking forward to having at least two really good meals, and one of them is probably going to be breakfast, but gonna be dinner. One's gonna be dinner.
When am I coming over? I'm excited. I'm hungry now.
Well, see,
I want two really good meals too.
Yeah, well,
I don't, especially once I don't have to cook myself.
Yeah, well, you know what? I love to cook. That's part of the enjoyment for me, anyway.
I do too.
And then I love it even more if the people I'm cooking for enjoy what it is that I'm putting in front of them, and that's kind of important. But I've always liked socializing. So, but let's get back to fasting. And so, what you're saying is it's probably a healthy thing if you spread your meals over an 8-hour period. Have smaller things, but spread it over an 8-hour period, and then for 16 hours you don't eat. You can have some water or something like that, but you don't eat. Right. Of course, 8 of those hours, hopefully, unless you happen to be me, I don't sleep much. But 8 of those hours you're in bed sleeping, so you don't even realize that you're not eating anyway.
Yeah, and it's funny that specific. Then there's a couple other ways you can do it too, but and I'll get into those. But that specific way of fasting, what's neat about it is, if you time it, you're going to stop eating maybe at least 3 or 4 hours before you go to bed, and digestion takes a massive amount of energy. And if you eat, people who eat just before they go to bed, they're really robbing their body of the energy that it needs to recover and recuperate while you're sleeping. So they actually will need more sleep than someone who stops eating 3 hours before they go to bed. Because so you can actually, I don't always need 8 hours. Now I tend to be one of these people, unfortunately, But, due to my schedule and my son's schedule, I want to try to eat dinner with him, and maybe he doesn't get home till 9 o'clock, or maybe I was out late or something. So a lot of times we won't eat until late at night. So the eating with him is important to me. And so I'll eat late, even though I know I really shouldn't. But I know when I stick to a regular schedule and I don't eat within a few hours before bedtime, I can easily, 6.5, 7 hours of sleep tops.
Yes,
and I wake up feeling awesome.
For me it's 5.5. Generally 5.5, maybe 6. If it's that would be unique. I'm usually closing my eyes about 11 o'clock. 4:30, 5 o'clock, I'm up.
Wow. See, I've never been able to go off of that little sleep, and I've never been the kind of person who can wake up that early and be able to function.
Not only, well, you know what? Not only that is my normal schedule, but I can't lay in bed. When I open my eyes, I'm awake. I'm charged up, and I can't lay there. I just get out of bed and start doing stuff. It's not unheard of that at 5 or 5:30 in the morning, I've cranked up my computer and I'm writing my show for that day.
Well, that's awesome. What a productive way to start your day. You start out with something, boom, instantly you got a kind of a little victory for the day because you've already got anything prepped for your show. But yeah, not everybody wakes up that way. I know me. I turn on. I know we had this discussion. I really turn on more so at night. Mm-hmm. And that's when if I got something for the next day, I might not even start working on it until 10 or 11 o'clock, and that's when I tend to get more productive. And then I'll sleep in the morning and wake up and it's already done, so it's kind of nice. But and there's so as far as fasting goes, that's one way to do it is eat 8, maybe 10 hours during the day. But I'd say no more than 10. But 8 is a good number as well. But then some people, what they'll do is they'll maybe fast. They'll pick 2 days during the week, maybe Monday and Thursday, or Sunday and Wednesday, or whatever they want. Mm-hmm. Pick 2 days during the week where you just don't eat at all, and it's going to serve the same function. So you'll eat a normal schedule, breakfast, lunch, dinner, maybe even some snacks the other 5 days of the week, mm-hmm. and you'll take 2 days off where you just won't eat at all. And that can be an easy way to do it too. Maybe especially if you're one of these people that's very much a social butterfly, where you're going out meeting friends a lot. It's tough to go out. For me, anything that deals with being on a regimented type. And I hate to use the word diet, because diet really, it doesn't mean just restricted calories or eating, broccoli all the time. You can have a diet of whatever it is that consists of that you eat. Mm-hmm. Even people who eat McDonald's are on a diet. They're on a diet regimen. It just really sucks. But so any type of diet regimen that you're on, if you're someone like me who goes out and meets friends a lot, well, then what you can do is, instead of doing where I'm only going to eat until 6 o'clock at night, now I go out and meet my friends and I can't even have an appetizer. Yeah. So what I'll do instead is maybe only fast 2 days a week, and I'll make those 2 days on days that I know I'm not going to be meeting with my friends on a regular basis. And so then the rest of the week I can go out, and if we go out and meet at 7 o'clock, I can have an appetizer or whatever drink or whatever the case might be. And then some people will even do, and this to me, I don't know that I would enjoy doing this, but some people actually do every other day.
So is fasting conducive to recharging the metabolism, or does it regulate it in any way?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Your body is going to, no matter what you do in life, your body can adapt and get used to pretty much anything in life. And so if you do the exact same thing every day, your body will eventually get used to it, in a good way or a bad way, whatever the case might be. Mm-hmm. That's like people who eat, junk food, who eat fast food on a regular basis. Your body will soon adapt to it, and you don't feel the aches and pains that go along with it. But if you go for months with eating, a really organic, healthy, clean diet with no junk food, all of a sudden, and I've done this, you eat McDonald's, you're going to feel like garbage by either the end of the day or for sure the next day. And so your body will adapt to anything. So being able to kind of mix it up and not stick with the same regimen is going to help your body change its metabolism. Like I said, it changes when you're fasting. You change from sugar burning mode to fat burning mode, and then back and forth to the two. And you really want to have your body have the ability to where it can burn fat for energy. And it's not just about weight loss. Weight loss, this whole, what do they call it? Body image.
Well, wait a minute. Let's talk about body image when we return from this commercial break. We'll be right. By the way, I played the bumper music. You didn't hear it at all, so that obviously
I did not.
Yeah, so that's obviously not going to work. In any event, we're going to be right back with our own Sean LaFave in the Deerfield Wellness Corner. We're talking about fasting and health and diet. This has been an intriguing show. We'll be right back with Sean and do our next segment right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And you know what? If you're listening to us in Madrid, Spain, it's currently 39 degrees and clear. It's also 1:24 in the morning tomorrow morning. And if you're listening to us in Tokyo, Japan, it's 43 degrees and it's clear. And it's 9:24 a.m. tomorrow. So it's okay for you to be listening to the show. Actually, it's okay for everybody to be listening to the show. And if you're not, shame on you, because we've got our own Sean LaFave with us in his Geared for Wellness Corner. We've been talking about fasting, we've been talking about diet and nutrition, This man is a storehouse of knowledge. You're going to be sorry that you missed it. Hey, Sean, we're back on the air.
All right. Oh, by the way, it is 66 degrees where I am right now. We do have blue skies. There's maybe a wispy clouds, but not much. But I'm actually in Beverly Hills right now. So it is 66 in Beverly Hills for anyone who actually cares.
Why would you want to live anywhere else
Than Beverly Hills?
than Southern California?
Oh, I don't. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't want to live anywhere else other than Southern California.
Yeah, I know. Beverly Hills is what you said, 66. It's 68 here in Upland.
Yeah.
It's just, gosh, this is weather like people pray for.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's we have at least 300 days a year where the weather's just awesome.
Yeah.
Where I've lived in places where you have 200 days a year minimum where the weather just sucks. So, 250 days a year. But, I love it here in Southern California, and the weather's just amazing. It, of course, is expensive, but it's the price you pay. It is wonderful living here. So back to fasting. So, we talk about, kind of some of the ways of fasting, how it helps you burn fat. By depleting your glycogen stores and stuff. So maybe we can kind of talk about some of the other benefits of fasting and really exactly how that benefits your body. So fasting is really it's fascinating. The human body, first of all, just in general, is just absolutely fascinating. It's mind-boggling what it's capable of doing.
It is a self-sufficient machine, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, and it does. The more you learn about the human body, the more you realize it does things that you just like. How is that possible that within my body all these little reactions and all these little processes are going on? You look at just the blood. Just take your blood alone. It has to transport oxygen to your cells, take away carbon dioxide. It has to transport nutrition to your cells. It has to take away waste products and filter them. It has to cool your body. It has to warm your body. And those are just like some of the major things that it does. That doesn't include all the little, immune stuff that it's got.
It's actually a chemistry lab, isn't it? I mean, you put all these components in your mouth, you swallow them, and then you start breaking it down while that's in your mouth. And then as you swallow it, and it gets down your esophagus and into your stomach, and the acid starts breaking it down, and then it gets into your intestines, and it's usurped into the bloodstream and the different places, and it actually creates all the different nutrients that you need to have to stay alive, right? And then it cleans all that crap up.
Yeah, and then it cleans up the waste products. And it really is amazing. So when you stop and you think, all I'm talking about today is just one little process of putting your body, going through fasting and really kind of getting yourself almost in a state of ketosis, so your body's burning fat. Now, ketosis is different than fasting. It's really not the same thing. Ketosis, you really have to limit your carbohydrate intake to almost nothing. But when you fast, there's you have in your brain. I talked about like just specifically. I know when we started talking about this Tuesday, I was talking about the benefits of brain function. How it can help prevent Alzheimer's or dementia of any type, how it also helps with depression, how it helps with, things like ADHD and anything that's really anxiety, anything that has to deal with brain function. So you've got in your brain, you have what they're called neurotrophic factors. They're basically proteins in the brain. And what they do is these neurotrophic factors, they stimulate the growth of neurons in the brain. So anytime that you intermittent fast and even exercising, they talk about exercise and how it helps fight depression, and so we also know that fasting does the same thing. And the reason why both of those, fasting and exercise, help with things like depression and help with things like preventing Alzheimer's and so on, is what they do is both of those actions, fasting and exercise, both help build those neurotrophic factors that help stimulate the growth of neurons in the brain, and so keeping your brain function healthy is part of keeping those neurons built up so that you have those neurons firing in your brain. Even using your brain will help stimulate the growth of neurotrophic factors and the growth of neurons. Things like reading. I was reading something about how it was a huge percentage of the American population don't read books past college or even some past high school, and I think it was like over 50% of households haven't read a book in the last year, and on and on. So it's simple things as much as reading, doing math, doing those Sudoku, those whatever crossword puzzles, anything like that is really going to help stimulate the brain and continue all that, along with things like exercising and fasting. And so, one of the things that it does is when you look at fasting from a evolutional standpoint, what happens is if you go for a certain period of time without eating, the last thing that we're going to be wired to do is have our brains slow down. Like I said, 20% of our energy comes from brain flow. Our brain uses 20% of our energy that our body burns on a daily basis. And so you would think, okay, well, what can we do if we start fasting? We want to slow down some processes because you don't have as much calories available to us. Well, one thing that doesn't slow down is your brain function. Matter of fact, it does exactly the opposite, because if you're going into a mode where you don't have food available to you and you have to go attack the woolly mammoth, or even go back even to just, the Native Americans who had to go find a buffalo, the last thing you want to do is have your brain function slow down. Your brain function increases from fasting because the brain goes, okay, I need to be alert. I need to be aware of what's going around me. So when I see food, I can go get it. I can go kill it. I can go whatever. I can notice it if it's, a plant that I need to, gather, or whatever the case might be. So that instinct of survival that's just naturally in us is going to kick in when we start fasting, and it's going to increase brain function. Again, increased brain function from that, just like reading, is going to help build those neurotrophic factors that stimulate the growth of neurons in the brain. And so it's not just simply a matter of, we're removing toxins and we're detoxing and we're limiting our calories. It's that all these other processes are going on as well. And along the same lines, when you limit, especially when you're limiting things like sugar, like I said, when you fast, from limiting your intake of food, your body burns those glycogen stores. Well, we know that sugar is probably the leading cause of chronic inflammation in the body. And like we talked about Tuesday, pretty much every major new millennium chronic illness out there is based in inflammation. And I mean inflammation that's at the cell level. And so what you want to do is, in order to even that, like I talked about being able to burn fat, you want to remove the inflammation so your body can utilize leptin. Well, the same thing, diabetes is a process of inflammation. All these things that are inflammation-based, chronic pains, chronic ache, chronic fatigue, brain fog, and on and on. Well, when you burn up your glycogen stores and you're reducing the amount of sugar in your body, what that does is it reduces the inflammation. You're also going to reduce oxidative stress, which everyone knows about, vitamin C, take your antioxidants and those kind of things, because they're destroyers of cells in your body. So when you reduce inflammation and you reduce oxidative stress, now your body can heal, it can repair, it can actually produce more energy at the cell level. And all
Sean,
energy
let me stop you for just 1 second, because you're talking about you're talking about inflammation a lot. And is this the same inflammation that we experience, like I've broken just about every bone in my body. So I've got arthritis in my hands that really bother me, and all over my body. Is that the kind of inflammation we're talking about, or are we talking about a different kind of swelling?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thanks. And I normally point that out, and I didn't do that this time. There's a different kind of inflammation, but this is actually inflammation at the very cell level. It's not something you're going to notice. You might see people who are in a chronic state of inflammation, and maybe they look a little puffy or something like that. People go, I'm holding water, my face is really puffy today, or they're and I've had this happen before myself, where you do something and all of a sudden, like, even your hands still kind of puffy and swollen a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you get is you get a chronic inflammation, but it's at the cell level. And so your cell membrane, which we talked about before, is made up primarily of saturated fats and cholesterol. There's this lipid bilayer, they call it, this membrane that goes around the cell. And what happens is when that gets dumped up, when you eat the wrong kinds of fats, when you eat too much sugar, that becomes inflamed. And so now you have inflammation at the cell level. And that's the kind of inflammation that you need to address for chronic health conditions.
But unless I got it wrong, you told me that saturated fats are not good for you, and yet our cells are made up of saturated fats. Is that?
No. Saturated fats are fine.
Oh, they are fine.
Yeah. Saturated fats are actually good for you. I mean, think about it. When a baby is born, what is its primary source of food in a time when it's growing and developing and it's growing rapidly? This little baby boy, this little baby girl, it's supposed to be breastfed from mom, not from a bottle, mm-hmm. and that's primarily saturated fat. It's a lot of good milk fat, and so saturated fat is actually very healthy for us. But again, why saturated fat gets the bad rap is because the saturated fat that a lot of people eat is, from, like, say, milk or steaks or whatever, hamburgers from cows that have been fed the wrong kind of diet, that have been given.
Mother's milk is good for you, but cow's milk not necessarily.
Cow's milk can be good for you. Certainly, it needs to be. There's a
raw milk.
A different type, it needs to be raw milk, not processed at all, not pasteurized at all, for it to be healthy. Because when you pasteurize it, basically that's why they add vitamin D and all these other nutrients to it, is because they killed it all when they pasteurized it. So raw still has all, not only the vitamins, but it has all the natural digestive enzymes. And there's two kinds of casein out there. There's an alpha and a beta casein, and the better one, it's so long since I've really.
Well, don't take too long with it. We got 30 seconds.
Well, there's the alpha casein and a beta. I think you want the alpha casein, not the beta casein. But anyway, the right kind of milk, raw, is very, very good for you. The problem is we pasteurize it, we homogenize it, we add synthetic vitamins back to it, and so anyway, the point is, fasting.
But that sounds good. If you. I understand homogenizing and pasteurizing, you're burning out the calories and stuff like that, but they add the vitamins, but they add it back in again. So what part of that is bad for you? Is it the preservative do they put a preservative in milk?
Well, I don't know if they use preservatives, but the part of the...
Because that's what I thought the homogenation did.
Yeah, that's what that's doing is basically it's killing off any bacteria in there, so that it lasts longer, it gives it a longer shelf life, and there's a less chance of you getting sick from it and so on. But adding but again, it kills those natural nutrients. The ones they add back are all synthetic, synthetic nutrients, and they're not as bioavailable.
Yeah, you can't absorb it as readily.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so your body does not absorb it as readily.
All right. So now I am. God, I could talk to you forever.
What we got next Tuesday?
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, I don't. Somehow, I'm thinking we have just reached the tip of the iceberg here.
We probably have. That's good. I like to know that job security. I know we have more to talk about it. I like it. You're going to ask me to come back again.
Well, you know what? I love talking to you. All right, listen. I want you to go out and have a great evening. Enjoy your son if you're going to be together. Make everybody in your life happy, because that's exactly what you do to people. I want you to stay safe, and I want you to stay happy, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday.
Thank you, Robert. This is another fun show. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Now, the rest of you do not go away, because when we come back, we're going to be talking about the birthdays for the day. We're going to talk about the secret daily teachings for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and the interesting but useless facts. We'll be right back, folks, after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this. The Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics, where at 4:42 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 68 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, if you're listening to us in Sydney, Australia, it's 72 degrees and mostly cloudy. It's also 11:42 a.m. tomorrow morning. Well, you know what? It is time for our Harvard Business Tip of the Day. And the management tip today is turn conference introductions into ongoing connection. You know what? This is just actually maximizing your opportunities. Here's the thing. After your next conference, social media tools can help you follow up with the people that you really want to make a part of your professional network. Try these strategies. See if they work for you. Install a business card processing app on your smartphone that can scan cards with a camera and convert them to a contact information. And if you meet someone and hit it off, connect right away. Send your pal a tweet from your smartphone right then and there. And at the end of each trip, make a keeper pile of business cards for people that you want to stay in touch with. Then use your business card app to capture them. And use your business card app's social networking function to send each person a LinkedIn connection invitation. You want to do that. You want to link up with them so they become part of your group. And send your keepers a personal email saying how much you enjoyed meeting with them and suggesting when or how you'll follow up. You know, guys, that's just good business. Matter of fact, that's just good manners. Think about it. Well, you know what? It's time for our secret daily teachings for your life. This is all about a positive mental attitude. You do control your entire life, whether you want to admit it or not. You decide if you're going to be happy or sad, rich or poor, whether you're going to be successful or a failure. It all depends on you and your outlook and your positive mental attitude. And that's what you got to do. So our secret for today is attracting the perfect weight is the same as placing an order with the catalog of the universe. You look through the catalog, choose the perfect weight, place your order, and then it's delivered to you. It's all about planning, it's all about expectations, and it's all about making those things happen. Yeah. Well, you know what today is, just as much as I do. It is absolutely Thursday, February the 4th, and it is somebody's birthday. And we have some memorable birthdays today. On February the 4th, in 1913, this lady was born, and she passed away in 2005, an African-American civil rights activist who the U.S. Congress later called the mother of the modern-day civil rights movement. Happy birthday, Rosa Parks. Here's a guy we haven't heard from in a long time. He was born in 1947. He was the 44th Vice President of the United States, serving under George H.W. Bush from 1989 to 1993. Happy birthday, Dan Quayle. And then finally, a fellow born in 1948, a rock singer, songwriter, and broadcaster whose career spans more than 4 decades. Happy birthday, Alice Cooper. Well, what happened on February 4th today in history? Well, I can tell you in 1789, George Washington is unanimously elected as the very first president of the United States by the U.S. Electoral College. And in 1936, Radium-E becomes the first radioactive element to be made synthetically. And in 1974, the Symbionese Liberation Army kidnaps Patty Hearst in Berkeley, California. And then finally, in 2004, Facebook, a mainstream online social network, is founded by Mark Zuckerberg. Yep. Well, our quote for today comes from somebody we all know. I think I don't think there's anybody in the world doesn't know who she is. It's from Oprah Winfrey, and she says, "Let your light shine within you so that it can shine on someone else. Let your light shine." Yep, I believe in that, every bit of it. All right, let's talk about those interesting but useless facts. We've got a number of them, so let's get to them. You know, the lifespan of a taste bud is 10 days. So if you didn't like the way it tasted today, wait 10 days and taste it again. Maybe it'll change. You got a brand new taste bud. We'll see what happens. How about this? Did you know that tigers have striped skin as well as fur? Yeah, underneath. How about this one? Did you know that the abacus was not invented in China? It originated in Egypt in 2000 BC, almost a millennium before it reached the Asia. Yeah. And here's one. The ostrich is the largest bird in the world. It also lays the largest eggs and has the fastest maximum running speed, 97 kilometers per hour. That is fast. Yeah. They actually, in some parts of the world, they have ostrich races. So, keep that in mind. How about this one? Did you know that the graham cracker was named after Sylvester Graham? He was born in 1994 and passed away in 1851. A New England minister, Graham not only invented the cracker, but also published a journal in Boston that took a rapid stand against tea, coffee, feather beds, and women's corsets. All right. Good for you, Mr. Graham. How about this? Did you know that 33% of women lie about their weight? Yep, it's a third of them all lie about their weight. Let's try this one on for size. You know that the only countries in the world with one syllable in their names are Chad, France, Greece, and Spain. Yep, that be the fact. All right, let me leave you with this one. 20% of women consider their parents to be their best friend. Wow. That's exciting. Now, don't go away. When we come back, I'm going to answer your emails, just like I always do. The first one is coming from Onyeka Igwe from Bartlett, Tennessee, asking about over-withholding situations. I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay a great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:53 p.m. Pacific time, currently 68 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, we're coming down to the wire. Time for me to answer your emails, but before you do that, I want to remind you that this is an entertainment section of the show, and we do our best to answer all of your emails as comprehensively as we can. But sometimes the information you send us can be just a little bit sketchy. So we always encourage you to contact a licensed professional before you do anything. They're generally going to save you more money than they cost you, and they're going to give you peace of mind and allow you to sleep at night. And the reason for that is they're required as part of their licensing to have errors and omissions insurance. Now, that's the same thing as malpractice insurance, but what it means is that if they make a mistake, they pay the piper, not you. That means you don't have to worry about the phone ringing or registered letters arriving or somebody knocking on your door. You know what? You can sleep at night. Well, let's get right to it. My first email comes from Onyeka Igwe from Bartlett, Tennessee, asking about over-withholding solutions, and says, I filled out a new Form W-4 with my employer, but it leaves me paying too much in taxes. Can I claim more withholding allowances than the form says that I'm entitled to take? Well, Onyeka, the answer to your question is yes. The IRS itself says that you do not have to use the Form W-4 worksheets if you use a more accurate method of figuring the number of withholding allowances. You can use the number of withholding allowances determined under an alternative method rather than the number determined using the Form W-4 worksheets. So go to publication 505, that's Tax Withholding and Estimated Tax. You can claim any number of allowances that will properly balance your withholding with the amount of tax that you actually owe. You might find this helpful. Use the IRS withholding calculator found in the individual section of the IRS website at www.irs.gov. Hopefully that helps you. Next email comes from Karen Maghiran from Sterling Heights, Michigan, asking about automatic tax payments. It says, can I have my bank's automatic bill paying system pay my quarterly estimated taxes? Well, Karen, there's a better way to do this. Use the electronic federal tax payment system, that's EFTPS, to make payments from your bank account to the IRS electronically. Now, here's some information for you. Visit the IRS website at www.irs.gov and click on the e-file logo. This is much better than using the bank's bill payment system, assuming the bank system won't make those payments for you anyway. Why? Because the IRS is more likely to lose or misallocate a payment that arrives in unfamiliar form. And if you don't designate exactly what a payment's for, as with the EFTPS, or by writing the details on your check, a bank system, by the way, is unlikely to do that for you. The IRS is free to apply it to any liability of yours that arises, causing confusion if you have more than one tax debt. So, use that EFTPS instead. I promise you, it's easy, and you'll be glad that you did that. Next email comes from Lake McHugh from Arvada, Colorado, asking about tax treaties. It says, how can I find out about a tax treaty that the United States has with a foreign nation? Well, Lake, IRS publication 901, that's U.S. tax treaties, provides an overview of tax treaties, how they operate, and whom they affect. The full text of the tax treaties that the U.S. government has entered into with about 60 foreign nations are available on the IRS website at www.irs.gov. Just enter United States income tax treaties in the search box. Now, be careful. These are technical legal documents, and you should interpret them only with the help of a professional who is expert in international taxation. Hope that helps. Well, last email comes from Cameron Mercado from Pacific Palisades, California, asking about home office dangers. It says, will a home office deduction attract an IRS audit? Well, Cameron, the home office deduction is much less of an audit red flag today than it was a generation ago. It's far more common, and Congress and the IRS have regularized rules that once led to tax disputes. Now, today, it doesn't particularly create more audit risk than any other common business deduction unless it is unusual in size or some other way, which is true of all deductions for that matter. If you file an honest return and are legitimately entitled to any deduction, you should take it and not fear the IRS auditor. There is no point in paying more than you actually owe to the IRS. Keep in mind that everybody should pay their fair share of taxes, but not one god-awful penny more. I mean, Congress has proven how judiciously you can spend your money, right? But for safety, check the rules in the IRS publication 587, that's business use of your home, and take photos of your office to document how you use it in case the IRS asks. Now, you don't want to miss tomorrow's show, because on my next show, John Matthews, Joe Hakos, and I, we're going to be talking politics on the Conservative Syndicate's simulcast that we do every Monday and Friday. And then tomorrow, David Garrett's back with Garrett on the Law. I'm anxious to hear about his trip and what's going on. Please, I encourage you to tell all of your friends about our show here on the RLC Broadcast Network. And don't forget, get our app. If you've got an Apple product, go to the Apple Store, search Robert Cardoza Live. It's all right there, and it's free. And you can listen to us live if we're broadcasting live, or you can listen to our archives. They're all right there. If you have an Android or Windows product, go to googleplay.com and do the same thing. Search Robert Cardoza Live. The app is absolutely free. We encourage you to go ahead and do that.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.